Alright, so let's get started. Alright, so I've got Unity Hub here. I'm just going to go ahead and run that real quick. Alright, so I've already got a few projects here. But let's go ahead and look at a few things here. Alright, so we've got our projects. These are the ones that we have already created at one time. When you delete them off your hard drive, they eventually will disappear from here as well. There's also one labeled here in the cloud, so this is stuff that if you have projects that you've made not on this machine, or, well, not on this machine at all, you can pull them from here. Learn also gives us a few tutorials, some quick stuff where you can download some kind of test tutorials or some example projects and things like that, and links and different resources and things like that. And of course we have our installs here. This shows us what versions we have on our machine. So I currently have the current one for right now for me right here, and it's marked as my preferred. And also below it I have an older version of Unity that I use for my mobile game, and it is here so I can select it if I need it. Over here, like I showed you earlier in the install, we have the official releases. So this shows which versions are available, and you can actually go for other, if you need an even more specific version, you can go download it over here. And of course we have beta releases here that we can test things early. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to hit go up here. I'm going to hit new. And I'm going to fill out some information here. Alright, so the first thing we're going to do is we're going to name this project. So I'm going to name this one video tutorial. Alright, I'm going to confirm that's the correct version that I want, and it is. Alright, our next thing is our location. So our location is important. Make sure it's not in the public documents directory, so it has your username here, because otherwise it can be hard to find. Alright. Next thing we're going to look at here is template. We're going to leave it on 3D. There are many other templates that are available. There's 2D, and really all this does is, change some settings and maybe load some extra things that you could use, but we're going to stay on 3D for now. Alright, organization. If you have multiple organizations, that'll give you the chance to set that here. Alright, and we're going to leave Unity Analytics on because it kind of helps Unity themselves. So when things crash, you can do that. You also have the add asset package. If you already have assets loaded on your machine, so in other words, you've created other projects and you downloaded stuff, you can actually add them here and just have them put in automatically. We're not going to do that because I'm going to show you how to do that. Alright, so we're going to go ahead and hit create project and get started here. So what this does is it fires up Unity and starts actually building the project itself. This will take a little bit of time, because this is not a game itself. This is the materials that are used to set it up. So it actually has to go and create all kinds of things. Alright, and once this is done, we can actually start. Alright, so here we have the Unity in a very close to the default settings in the layout. One of the nice things about Unity is we can customize it in colors and how things are laid out. We have tabs here. We can resize things to make it easier to see. So if we want to do that, we can. We can rearrange all these here. And if you get it into some weird thing, or you lose, you lose a window that you don't know how to get back, you don't remember what the name of it was, you can always go up here the upper right hand corner, you see where it says layout here? We can click that and change that back to default or one of the other ones. And of course, once you find one that you like, or you set it up how you like it, you can actually save it as its own layout. So this is default. I could hit save layout and choose what I want. All right. So let's look at the different parts here. Very top, we have our drop-down menus. A little bit like Maya, when you have certain plugins loaded or certain settings, you'll get extra menus here. This is the default set here, and we'll look through that as we go. All right, and now below it, we have this kind of bar here. First thing here is our set of tools that we have. And we'll look at these here. This is kind of the selection tool. We have our move tool, our rotate, our scale, and this is called the rect tool. It's kind of a user interface tool, but you can use it outside of creating user interfaces. To the right of that, we have an all-in-one tool, which is actually pretty cool. And to the right of that has custom tools that I don't think anybody's created really any yet, so we'll find that later on. All right, over here we have the center and the global. These allow us to change how things move. To the right of that, we have our play, pause, and step one frame button. These are pretty cool. We'll come back to that. To the right of that, we have what is called the collab. So this is a tool. It's basically version control built into Unity. And I will be using this along the way. You don't have to. I'll be using it to, to save the project as I go through. So yeah. To the right of that is Cloud Build. So Cloud Build allows us to have Unity servers build an executable for us. And we'll go over that in a little while too. To the right of that is our account for Unity. And then we also have layers. So if you've ever used Photoshop, or if you remember layers from Maya, same thing. All right. All right, now let's look below that here, all this here. Over here on the left-hand side, we have our hierarchy. All right, so this is a list of objects currently in our scene. And right now, this is kind of pushed down here. We have a sample scene here. I'm going to pop this open here, and it'll show what's actually in this scene here. All right, so the scene, basically think of it as a way to divide up your game. All right. So there's no preset way we have to divide up a game. If it's a smaller game, you could have your entire game in one scene, or you could put menus and scenes, or you could have game type. Like say you have a single player game that can be in one scene, and then your multiplayer, and then maybe your networked multiplayer can be in another. So you can break that up, or you can do it by levels, or you could even do it by rooms if you wish. So it's up to you. Now, one of the new features of 2019 is that we can actually go over here on the left-hand side, and you see these eyes that kind of disappear when you're not on top of it. You can actually use that to hide the object. All right, so it's there, but it's not showing. So if you've got a lot of objects or something you don't want to have to look at while you're editing, you can turn that on and off, which is really cool. All right. So over here, of course, we have these names here, and one of the nice things is if we click on it twice, not double click, but click once and then click a second time, we can rename these items here. All right. Okay. And we'll come back to this in a little bit as well. All right, here in the center, we have our scene view. So this is an editing view. All right, so this is not what the player will see while the game is playing. This allows us kind of have a free camera that we can look through. To the right of that, we have the game view. So this is what the player will see right now. Right now there's nothing in there. All right, and mine happens to have the asset store open, and we'll talk about the asset store later. All right, inside the scene view, we have all kinds of settings that we can choose. We can choose, like, if we just want to see by wireframes, we can have shaded view, we can have all kinds of really cool things here. And it shows us, allows us to look at things in different ways. All right, here we have a 2D button, so we can toggle our view to 2D if we wanted to. We have the ability to turn on and off lights. That when we turn off lights, it doesn't mean that there is no light. It just means we're not dealing with that. Everything's full bright. To the right of that, we have the audio. So if you have audio playing, even in the editor, you can actually turn that off, which is kind of nice. To the right of that, allows us to turn on different on and off different effects. That's actually a drop-down menu, so it's pretty cool. And of course, the count of things that are hidden. Cool. All right. To the right of that here, we have some editor tools and settings for the camera. You can look through that. And Gizmos here has actually got a few things that we can turn on and off, which can help us. All right, and to the right of that, we can actually search for things. So in this window, which is nice. Now, below that, we have our kind of the X, Y, and Z tree here. It's just like Maya, where we're showing you the different views at what we're seeing. And we can click on each one of these to kind of put us in the right view of it. Now, below it here, it says Persp. This is actually short for perspective. Right now we're in perspective view. Perspective view, things that are closer to you are larger than things that are farther away, and those are smaller. If we click on that, we'll go into isometric view, which basically means everything is the same size. All right, so if you get this weird view and you're like, what's going on? Just click on where it says ISO, and it'll take you back to perspective view. All right, and most of the time you're going to want to edit that unless you're making an isometric tile-based game, which, that's up to you. All right, so we'll come back to this and we'll talk about what these two are in a little bit. To the right here, we have our inspector. Basically what this is, it's a place that we can edit settings. All right, and we'll come back to that. It's pretty useful. Down below here, we have currently our project view. So this is a list of items that are currently in use, not in use, but are available for use in our game. So we'll import things into this, and then we can set them up to use in our scene view. All right, so this is a tree view over here, and over here we have, the icon view, and we'll get into that. And of course, we can search things, and we can see things by type. Like if we want to find, all the scenes, we can do that, or all the textures, we can find those, and it's pretty cool. And of course, we can search them. All right. On another tab here, we have the console tab. So this console tab is for output only. This is where your errors will show up, or any messages that you put out will show up. So they'll show up in the list here, and you can click on them and find out more about it. We can also turn off whether we see messages, warnings, or errors, which is pretty cool. I like to keep clear on play clicked, and what that does is every time you hit play, it erases everything and starts fresh. This is actually a new one here, clear on build. So basically whenever something changes and it's rebuilt, it clears them out, which is kind of nice. Error pause means anytime there's an error in the game, no matter if it's a game crashing bug or not, it will pause it. All right, and then of course we have clear. We can clear them out manually. And collapse, if we have multiple of the same ones, it will put them into kind of categories, so it's easier for us to see. And of course here we have editor, and we can see, we can change what is logged, and we can even connect to other machines to watch their log. So that's pretty cool, right? All right, so this is our kind of our basic area here. Now, one of the other things I want to point out here, at the very top, you can actually see which version we're running right now. So this is 2019.1.0 F2 personal. All right, so I'm currently signed into a personal edition here. And it shows me what scene I'm running. So this is my sample scene.unity, kind of the default scene. All right, and the name of the project is Video Tutorial. All right, and currently I have it set up in the kind of the category of PC, Mac, and Linux standalone. All right, so it doesn't tell us which one we're actually going to build for, but they basically all work the same. And it's showing here that I'm running DirectX 11 form of it. There are other forms of this program that we can run. All right, cool. Now, let's get started on movement here. I'm going to move here to the project real quick. And I would like to show you how to move, basically. It's pretty easy, unlike Maya. We don't have to hold any keys to start our mouse look. So if we just hold down the left mouse button and we drag, we can actually, move our scene here like this. Right? And if I right click and hold, I can actually mouse look pretty easily, right? And what's really cool is that it actually will loop around. So you can just keep dragging. All right, cool. And if you look very closely at the cursor there, you'll notice that there's a very familiar set of keys. All right. If we use our WSA and D keys, our WASD keys, we can actually move. If you press and hold, it'll go faster. All right. So the longer you hold, the faster it goes. Shift will give you a quick boost, and that'll allow you to move left and right, of course. Also, we have Q and E as well. So Q and E allow us to move directly up and down. And of course, these are while our mouse is right-clicking. Right? Now, we don't need to do that. If we use our arrow keys, we can actually move on that. So that's pretty cool, isn't it? All right. Okay. So that's basic movement inside of Unity here. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to move around kind of within view of my camera here. All right, so I'm going to click on the camera here. This camera represents the view that the player will see currently. All right, so let's go ahead and kind of get down here real quick. All right, so we've got it selected. All right, and let's go ahead and drop something in here real quick. All right, so I'm going to create an object here. All right, if we hit play right now, we'll actually see what we have. This blue, we'll talk about that in a second. I know yours isn't showing it yet, but we'll get to that in a little bit here. But this view right here is what we have. All right, what's really cool about this is that this is actually showing us the game running, right? And it's very accurate on what we'll see. We have some settings that I'm going to show you through here real quick. Over on the left-hand side, we can choose which display we're going to look at. Right now, our game does not have any other displays working, so it'll give us that message. Yes, you can write games for multiple screens with this, and you'll set up different cameras and things like that to make that work. Over here, we have some aspect ratios, so we can tell Unity we want to run on these aspect ratios, and of course, we can add new stuff. And over here on the scale, we can change, kind of what scale we're looking at. It zooms in, basically, digitally. All right. Over here on the right-hand side, I've got maximize on play. This one's actually one I use quite often, and we'll come back to that. So I'm going to click that. And well, actually, you know what that does here? I'll show you. I'm going to end this here real quick, and I'm going to pop right back into it. All right. And you'll notice that it has kind of maximized on my screen here. So we get a bigger view of it, which is kind of nice, right? Over here, we can mute audio, we can turn on VSync, we can look at stats of the game. So, we can see what kind of audio level. Right now, there is none for the game. We're kind of staying near 70 frames a second, because that's what it's aiming for, which is right there. You can see how much time it's taking to the processor to handle everything, just all the different little settings that we might need to see. All right. And of course, we can turn gizmos on so we can see things that we normally don't see to help us edit, which is very nice. All right. And I'm going to go ahead and turn this off. All right. So we've got that. And of course, we can go back here to game. We can actually look at it right now without actually starting. So that's up to you. All right. So we've got that. Let's go ahead and add an object here real quick. All right. So I'm going to show you a few things here real quick, and then we'll move on to our next section. All right. So I'm going to create an object. So there are several places that we can do this. We can do up here to game object, or we can go down here to the hierarchy. I like using this one right here, hitting create, and you can choose different things that you want to add. In this case, I want to create a 3D object, and I'm going to put in a plane. So a plane is a single-sided 2D object. All right. So you see this right here. This is a plane. It is one side. I'm going to right-click and I'm going to move down and show you the underside of it here. So you notice that you can see sky through it because it is single-sided. We're looking at the back of a polygon. All right. Normally, polygons are single-sided for speed of rendering. And I have purposely chosen this because I want you to have a kind of a nice open area and make things simple. All right. So we've got it selected, and we can tell this object is selected by the orange kind of glow around it. Right? And if we select something else, it'll go away eventually. All right. So one of the new things is if you're doing this, it'll not deselect it for you. But all right. So let's go ahead and move on here. I'm going to click Move Tool and show you the Move Tool. So of course we can move this around. I'm going to move it directly onto my plane. I can move this here like this. And this works very much like other programs that you've used, which is really nice. Makes life a lot easier. All right. So I've moved that around. And also, if you look on the far right-hand side over in the inspector, we can see the inspector in use. All right. So the top here is what we label it. So if you click twice on here, you can rename it, or you can rename it up here, which is nice. Plane for the ground. All right. And if we rename that, it shows up over here on the hierarchy side. All right. Again, we can turn it on and off from view, but it's still there in the game. If we want to actually turn it on and off, we can check and uncheck this, and it'll actually kind of disable it from the game. All right. Underneath that, we have tags, and this is useful for finding things, and it's allows us to choose stuff and categorize it. And of course, we can set our layer to that. And important below that is our transform area. Now, pretty much everything has one of these. I don't think I've seen anything yet that doesn't have a transform. That's because it allows us to set the most basic things like position. All right. So I can actually go in here and change a value. If I set that to 0, all right, now it's kind of bumped over there. And I can physically change these numbers and type them in if I want. Also, one of the other things I can do is if I hit this little gear icon, I can choose to reset different settings here, like reset position, rotation, or scale if I've changed any of those. So I can just reset the position, and that's going to set it to 0, 0, 0. I could have typed that in, but that's not necessary. We can change our rotation here, X, Y, and Z, and our scale here. So the scale of 1 means it's its default size. All right. we'll come back to the stuff under here later. All right, so I've got that saved or set, and if I hit play on here, you'll see it running. It has that plane just sitting there. Cool. All right, I'm going to throw in another object here. I'm going to hit create, 3D object, and create a cube. All right, so I've got my cube here. Here it is. And of course, you can see things highlighting as well here. And let me go ahead and get this set up for us. All right, so I'm going to move this kind of over here. You'll notice that it's showing its own shadow, which is pretty cool. All right, and I'm going to go here and change some settings. All right, so this is our rotate tool, and it works just like Maya. In fact, it's the same tool. It works exactly the same way. All right, we also have undo, just like we did before, or in Maya. So you can undo that. Here we have our scaling tool, and let me go ahead and scale some stuff here. So the first thing I'm going to do, and I want you to do if you're trying to follow along, is to go ahead and grab this reddish-orange cube here on the side. All right, and I'm going to drag it out a little bit. So that's going to change the X scale. You'll notice happening over here. I'm also going to kind of rotate around here and grab the Z scale. All right, move to the side there, and then shrink this down a little bit. All right, I'm going to go back to where my camera is. And there you go. So I scaled it up on the X and shrunk it down on the Z. And we'll come back to that when we get to some scripting. That's kind of important. All right, so I've got that. I'll click here on the Rect tool to show you what that does. So it allows us to kind of move things around, change a rotation, scale our object here using that. So it's kind of giving this set of 4 squares here. And of course, if I move over here like that, it'll change like that. Cool. All right. And this is all of them all at once. So rotation, movement, and scale. All right. So I'm going to go back here to the select tool. All right. So let's go ahead and hit play on this. All right. And there we have a plane with the box here. Cool. All right, so that's good for now. Keep an eye out on the next video, and we're going to do more in Unity here.